President Obama, along with former President George W. Bush, will speak at a memorial service in Dallas today. They are going to honor the 5 officers killed in last week's ambush. More than 1,000 people gathered for a candlelight service last night. Our Gayle King spoke with 2 trauma surgeons who saved lives on that terrible evening.
Brian, I wanted to start with you because when you first came, Alex, of course, you have been here before, but this was the first time that you've seen this memorial. And you had a moment. What were you thinking when you arrived and saw it?
In my mind, I was thinking, why did this happen?
Yeah.
And then I just start replaying Thursday night. This shouldn't be here.
Yeah. We all feel that, Brian, and I so felt you yesterday at the press conference when we were all watching you. I know you did too, Alex, because you said for you, you've been here before. You're a police officer as well, but yet you're also straddling both worlds as a police officer and as a doctor.
No
Tell us about that.
Well, you know, Gayle, I think when you have something like this happens, when something like this happens in your city, and at the end of the day, you're charged with, both of us have spent the better part of the last 2 decades of our lives training and preparing and taking care of everyone who comes to our doors, no matter what race, color, creed, doesn't matter. And certainly when you work at a place like Parkland, where we really do what we do there without respect to ability to pay, doesn't matter. We take care of everyone that comes to the door. To be faced with something like this is truly horrific, and I think.
But when you're in the operating room.
But for us, you know, again, and part of what we do here, and one of the reasons why we wanted to come talk to you this morning is that we really feel like we have something to contribute to the conversation. And there's been a lot of talk about race, and there's been a lot of talk about how different we are. Police, civilian, black, white. And you know, I think Brian and I are a great example. We could not be any closer friends, brothers, colleagues. And so when you step to the operating room table, Gayle, there's no, and you look down into someone who's hurt and injured, we all bleed the same. There's no difference. We're all pink on the inside. And I think that's really an important message to get out, that we've got to stop this. We cannot continue this cycle of violence and gun violence and protesters versus police. At the end of the day, those people all look the same on the inside.
And Brian, many people were touched with you yesterday because you said that this is personal and it's complicated for you, what is happening in your city today. Tell us about that.
So first I need to apologize for losing my composure earlier.
No, you shouldn't apologize for that. I think it sends such a strong and powerful message about how many people are feeling. Don't apologize for your feelings. Go ahead.
So
I'm going to stand in the middle.
Sure.
I'm going to stand next to Brian.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
everybody wants to stand
Everybody
next
wants
to
to stand next to Brian. Go ahead.
It's personal for me because I understand how black men feel with their encounters with police officers, but also many police officers who are my friends and colleagues. So I'm straddling both worlds. I respect police officers. I respect mainly the job they do. Every day they go out with their lives on the lines for us. They're certainly overworked, underpaid, and unrecognized. And I certainly think that that should be addressed. But I also do not want the fact that black men are dying in the hands of police ignored, overlooked, and dismissed. This is not blaming anyone. This is not choosing sides. This is about just acknowledging that it is happening and it does exist. And we need to talk about this to make some kind of change.
And the two of you are longtime friends. I heard you say yesterday that you go on vacations together, that your wives are friends, but yet even the two of you are having difficult conversations, or conversations that you've never had before.
I think, Gayle, when you come from a different perspective, it helps us that we come to that with a strong base and foundation, that we love each other.
Yeah, I can tell that.
We would do anything for each other, and that's not hyperbole at all. And we have done things for each other. So we come at the conversation from that base. And so to begin there gives us a starting point. And that's why I hope that across America, people will realize that there's a lot more that we have in common than we don't. And it's really important, I think, as we move forward with this conversation.
And what do you hope, Brian, that we will all get out of this?
The previous discussions between Dr. Easton and I regarding law enforcement incidents, they remain at a pretty superficial level. There's a lot of joking back and forth, but certainly now it could become much more serious and deep.
And Gayle is at police headquarters. Gayle, such a powerful interview. I mean, it really encapsulated the nation's dilemma. You know, when Dr. Eastman says that he and Brian are friends, they're colleagues, they're brothers, we love each other, but that they are discussing this dilemma right now facing our country. How are they moving forward?
And they said, listen, we've had conversations many times, but we've never had a conversation like this. Number one, Vlad, I love the dynamic between the two of them. They clearly have something very special. They both do the same job, but you know, Alex in particular is a police officer as well. Brian, as you see, is a black man who says that he's straddling both worlds trying to sort this out. So they've had very difficult, but they think very healing conversations between the two of them. They said, listen, we're tight. And things like this only make us tighter. I was very impressed with both of them.
And Gayle, you know, when Brian got very emotional, Dr. Williams got so emotional, and he again pointed out that the nation's, the Dallas Police Department and police departments across the country are overworked, underpaid, but that we can't ignore or dismiss the perception and some say the feelings that people have in the African American community.
And everybody is very much aware of that. The thing I keep hearing over and over again, Vlad, about the Black Lives Matters movement is that people have to be very clear about this. They said this was a disturbed gunman who came and disrupted a very peaceful protest. And it makes them very, very upset that now that they're being lumped into, in some conversations, with the acts of this shooter. It's peaceful, and they want to make sure that those are always their intentions. And because you support Black Lives Matter, it does not mean that you don't support police. And they said that is a very important point to make. And they said, you know, anytime you can make that point, do, and that's what I did. But back to Brian for a second. He got very emotional, as you see at the beginning, and then he apologized. You know, I'm thinking, if there ever was a time to be emotional, anybody with a beating heart, anybody with a pulse understands how he's feeling. This is a man who says that he can't sleep, that he still is very upset that he couldn't save the lives of the people that were brought in that night. So I understand why he was upset. There's no need to apologize for that kind of emotion, ever.
And so many people, not just in Dallas, across the nation, are upset about this, Gayle. What is the mood of the city? You know you're in front of police headquarters. We see the balloons there. What are we looking at?
Well, you know, this is funny. Well, it's not funny. This is actually very touching. Behind that mass of flowers and balloons and note cards, there are two police cars. It started out, Vlad, with just one car. Then the people came and responded in such droves, they added another car. We've seen people come this morning to lay more flowers. And then just some of the notes that you see. Dallas PD, we love you. Dallas PD, you have our support. Dallas PD, you are not forgotten. They said what happened in this city does not in any way indicate how the people in this city feel about the Dallas Police Department. And they are feeling the love. I was talking to some police officers back there. You know, they're always very official. Yes, ma'am, may we help you? And I said, listen, I just want to know how you guys are feeling. What's the mood of the city? What are you hearing? And they kept talking about the random acts of kindness, that they are stopped on the streets, they are stopped at stoplights, they're stopped when they're walking, with people giving hugs, people giving kisses just to say we love you. This one guy said to me, I've had over 2,000 hugs in 48 hours, and I am not a huggable person. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And when I said, what's your name? He goes, I'm not telling you, but I got his badge. I'm not going to do it. But you know, this is, you know, there's an outpouring for the police department here. Yeah, and it all starts, you know, I think the rest of the nation also feels, Gayle, that it starts at the very top with Chief David Brown, who has really become sort of the face. Exactly. He is just everything that you would want to see in a law enforcement officer. He, Vlad, really is the epitome of leadership, is what they're saying about this man. You know, he grew up in this city, and he said that he wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And that's why he became a police officer. And in his news conference yesterday, he encouraged people who were protesting or complaining You too can be part of the solution. Join the police department. I thought that was very, very touching. This man is very beloved, and they're saying that he and the mayor as well are really leading the process of healing in this country. And you know, it all boils, it's sort of ironic in a way that what started this whole tragedy, if you will, was when we all saw that horrible video, the 2 beatings of the unarmed black men by white police officers. And it's ending in this particular cycle with the shooting of police officers and how these 2 sides are trying to figure out a way to come together. I talked to T.D. Jakes yesterday for a very long time. He said it's more than an issue of black and white, it's an issue of right and wrong. And there are conversations to be had on both sides.
Gayle King, incredible reporting from Dallas. Thank you so much, Gayle. Appreciate it.
Goodbye, Vlad.